What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It is time to talk about the indie comics releasing this new comic book day, and I've got another great top 10 list for you guys. It is a little bit lighter of a week this week, thankfully, after last week's huge week. I am still reading last week's comics, and they are on the shelf behind me back there. But I got a little bit of a cleaner list for you this week in terms of the number of books. I've got it at 10, and for me, it's less. I only have maybe a couple more than the 10 total that I am getting this week. So let's get into this top 10 list. But if you're new here and really want to see more about indie comics, talking to indie comics creators, top 10 lists of what I'm looking forward to each week for New Comic Book Day, as well as an FOC list for indie comics every week. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on the notification bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. Let's get into this list. First up from Boom Studios, we have issue number 14 of House of Slaughter. James Tynion, Tate Bromble, Antonio Fuso, and Werther Deladera bringing us the next part of this chapter of the House of Slaughter. Terrified and without a prayer, Sonny faces a deadly hazing ritual. Can he survive on his own, or will the monster emerging from the dark be his end? Meanwhile, a long awaited conversation between Jace and a woman with strange but familiar eyes reveals a past of interwoven fates and new revelations. I'm really enjoying this chapter of the House of Slaughter and what we're learning about Jace and his connections with the other house. We'll see where this goes. I do love that House of Slaughter is bringing other parts of the world together instead of just focused on Erica. I love Erica's story, but this is a very rich world that lots of stories can be told from. So I am enjoying that we get that in the House of Slaughter series. Number 9 on my list, we're going over to Whatnot Publishing for Quested number 5 from Michael Calero, Thomas Parson, and Kit Wallace. Quested fuses the attitude of Hellboy and the fantasy adventure spirit of Legend of Zelda as it follows the questing misadventures of pawn shop owner and morally ambiguous hero for hire Jinx through a world filled with lizard henchmen, dungeon bosses, and unicorn burgers. It's a full dungeon busting mayhem in this issue of Quested when the past finally catches up to Jinx and company. As Frogdard returns, our heroes are forced into the lair of the dreaded ferryman himself. In this head on collision with some of their greatest foes, will our band of morally ambiguous adventurers have what it takes to survive? This is issue 5 of 6, I believe, planned for 6 issues in the series. And we'll just stick with Whatnot Publishing. For number 8 on the list, we've got Liquid Kill number 3 of 6 from Max Hoven, Aaron Crow, and Gabriel Umazark. We've got Liquid Kill following sadist slaughtering vigilantes as they encounter pure evil in a blood-soaked cyberpunk future a la Ghost in the Shell meets John Wick. Written by the creators of the critically acclaimed series It Eats What Feeds It and artist Gabriel Umazark. For the staff and clientele at a mysterious island hotel, it's just another night of masquerades and vice, but when members of Liquid Kill lay siege, demanding compliance or death, adrenaline quickly floods the halls. Searching for their kidnapped leader, Kai and her comrades are forced to learn the greater mysteries of the island, and they may not be ready for what's ahead. I've been really enjoying this series so far. We've gotten 2 issues of kind of setup, right? We have the vigilantes heading towards the island, and then we have the second issue focused more on those at the hotel already and seeing their approach. And now both sides of the story are going to be colliding in this issue. And yeah, I can't wait to see what ensues there in that action. That was number 8. Number 7 on the list, we're going to Sumerian Comics for Firstborns, number 5 of 5 from Ian E. Pliskin and Luca Vassallo. Connor Hardy's gang meet their violent and inevitable fate upon encountering the Firstborns, who will put them face to face with their alien master. Still, possessed by the invader force, Stan and his friends return to the small town of Marcotte, bringing along a mortal danger from outer space. This is a 5 of 5 for Firstborns. This is wrap up the story here from the amazing team that also brought us Heavy Metal Drummer. I can't wait for the follow up series to that and more from these crazy creators. The stories are just amazingly vibrant and dark all at the same time. Number 6 on the list this week, we are going over to AWA for Black Tape, issue number 3 of 4 from Dan Panosian and Dalibor Talajic. Jack King was a rock and roll god who projected a stage persona on par with the devil. After Jack dies on stage, his widow Cindy grapples with grief and struggles to protect his legacy, unaware that she is being surrounded by dark forces that covet the master tapes to Jack's final unreleased album, a heavy metal masterpiece that just might open a doorway to hell. And the action in issue 2 kind of ramped up in terms of what we're finding out about their home and that doorway to hell. Uh, Things are getting little crazy here, and we're on issue 3 of 4, so things have to ramp up even more in this one before we get that resolution in the next issue. Number 5 on the list, going to Dark Horse Comics for issue number 1 of All 8 Eyes from Steve Fox and Peter Kowalski. Peter Kowalski's art, I'm really realizing I enjoy a lot. Peter Kowalski did the art in the Carmen line from Mad Cave Studios, OGN, that they just released. And in this one, we've got the forgotten corners of post 9/11 New York City, skittering shapes are in the darkness, preying on people society leaves behind. College dropout Vin Spencer floats through life in a drug and party-fueled haze until one terrible night sweeps him into a drifter's reckless war against the giant eight-legged horrors stalking the city. Jaws meets arachnophobia in a new vision of creature featured terror from Eisner-nominated writer Steve Fox and dread-inspiring artist Peter Kowalski. Number 4 on the list, going to Frank Miller Presents for Frank Miller's Pandora, number 4 from Chris Silvestri, Anthony Marinville, and Emma Kubert. Annabeth and Knox finally discover the relic she has been searching for. But will its power bring salvation or release hell on Earth? This issue is an important turning point for the series and not to be missed. Conceived by Frank Miller, written by Anthony Marinville and Chris Silvestri, with art by Emma Kubert. I have been enjoying this fantasy tale here, and there's the story building and the world building of this has been fantastic, and we're getting worlds starting to collide here with the last issue. So I can't wait to see how this comes together here. I don't know if this is planned as a mini series or an ongoing. But if it is like a 6-issue miniseries, I think we could be headed to some climactic events here in issue 4 and 5. Yeah, I've just been enjoying the art, though. Of course, we've had Emma on the channel, and we talked about this a little bit in that talk. Talked about Stoneheart, Inkblot, Radiant Pink, everything that Emma is doing right now. Just check this one out. It's been a lot of fun. I honestly, I didn't pick it up for Frank Miller's name. I picked it up because of Emma Kubert's art on it. Number 3 on the list this week, going to Ablaze Publishing for Mighty Barbarians, number 1 from Michael Moresi and Giuseppe Cafaro. From the writer of Barbaric comes the world-hopping, skull-crushing adventure of the Mighty Barbarians. They're barbarians. They loot, they plunder, they conquer. That's what they do, and they do it alone. Until now. When unstoppable force starts consuming one world after another, sorceress Morgan Le Fay uses her magic to assemble a team of skull-cracking warriors who must somehow work together to save all of existence. There's the young trickster Anansi, Viking shield maiden Burka, and the shape-shifting Nanook, and their leader, heir to a fallen kingdom and mightiest of warriors, Cole. Though their alliance is uneasy, they will do whatever it takes to cut the heart right out of their mutual enemy, leaving a path of ruin through everything and everyone that stands in their way. Before the Avengers, the Justice League, the X-Men, before it all stood the Mighty Barbarians. I am excited for this one. I have gotten to start reading this. I'm going to finish it and write a review hopefully before Wednesday. It's Michael Moresi writing more barbarian stories, and we've got world hopping, different things colliding together, barbarians meeting Morgan Le Fay and King Arthur, and all of that is happening here. And I'm excited to see what Michael Moresi could do with this after reading Barbaric and all of the cool things he's got going on in that story. how can he bring a whole new element into the barbarian story? This world hopping is really cool. So that's my number 3 pick this week. Number 2 this week, going to Mad Cave Studios for Hunt, Kill, Repeat number 2 from Mark London, Francesco Archidiacono, and Mark Deering. Kill Bill meets Clash of the Titans all-new action-packed series. After being held captive and unconscious for a decade, Artemis has escaped thanks to a little help from an old friend. Now her sister Aphrodite is hot on her trail as Zeus has ordered his other children to take out their sister before she gets revenge for taking away everything she ever loved. Hunt Kill Repeats, an all-new original series by Mark London with art by the dynamic Francesco Archidiacono, colors by All-Star Lee Lowridge, and covers by the stellar Ryan Kincaid. I loved issue number 1 of this, and we got to talk to Mark recently about Hunt Kill Repeat and everything Mad Cave Studios. So if you missed that, go check out that interview. It was a fantastic time. My number 1 pick this week, we're going to Sumerian Comics for Soko number 1 from Vanya Miskovic and Steve Ekstrom with art from Antonio Fuso and Stefano Simeone. A routine traffic stop for 2 Serbian beat cops quickly descends into corruption and betrayal as a dark trail of evidence leads to the discovery of an unimaginable depravity. Mark Waid says Soko is energetic and kinetic as hell. It gripped me from page 1 and it wouldn't let go. I have a review of Soko number 1 up on the You Promised Me Comics website. I also have an interview with Steve Ekstrom from MegaCon talking about Soko. I am stoked for you guys to check this one out. It's a new crime procedural that we don't have a lot of those going on right now. And I think this one covers some very heavy and important topics, including human trafficking and corruption within the police force. And it does it so well. So check this out because this is one you don't want to miss if crime especially is a genre that you love reading. The art team, like I said, Antonio Fuso, Stefano Simeone for the first 2 issues, and then there's a different colorist on issues 3 and 4, but Antonio doing all of the line work throughout. It's so good. Antonio also, like I said, doing House of Slaughter right now. Has done some really good books and has fantastic artwork. So visually, this is an incredible book from that regard. But yeah, check it out for yourself. Take a look. Like I said, review up on youpromisedmecomics.com. Interview on the channel right now, available for you to check out. That's my top 10 list. Lots of cool new issues this week and returning comics. So check all of these out. And let me know in the comments what you're reading this week, what you think I should be checking out if I didn't talk about it. And as always, collect what you love. We'll see you next time.